This meeting is being recorded.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another off-season suggestion show. Today, we're here with the NFC North. I'm here with Moody and Isaiah. How we doing today, guys?
What's good, y'all?
It's time to talk about the actual worst division in the NFC, the tragic, disgusting, unwatchable NFC North.
I think the NFC South's going to get more for their money.
Oh, next year, yeah. I was talking about these last couple years that Aaron's just been running the 13-win seasons.
We're going to start with the said winners of this division.
Yeah,
and they actually made some big news this week.
Yeah, so Green Bay, obviously, they re-signed Aaron Rodgers for another 4 years. What is it, $50 million a year?
He hasn't even, the deal's not even done yet, so we don't even know the official numbers. It'll be somewhere around $200 million.
Yeah, it's always been 50.
It's going to be obnoxious. So leads me to one of my highlights of this offseason. What are they going to do with Jordan Love? Richard Sherman calls him a thirst trap, which is kind of how I see him. I mean, I think you need to trade him and get picks or something, because a first-round quarterback, when you just extended your starting quarterback, getting paid first-round money is useless to you. So I think you have to get rid of Jordan Love now that you've extended Aaron Rodgers longer. So, yeah, it will be interesting to see what team comes knocking for Mr. Love, but I don't think it's going to be too many teams.
I don't think Love gets traded after the draft, though.
Yeah.
I don't think he gets traded.
Okay. Maybe he doesn't get traded at all, but they got to do something, because I think if a team wants him, they're going to want to at least get to see him for a year before they have to make a decision on that option year. Yeah. So you can get 3 full years. So I think if they're going to do it, it has to be this offseason or it'll be never.
Okay.
Yeah, so leading to that with Davonte Adams, I believe they tagged him to start the season. I think an extension is coming. I think it would have been a completely different tune if they traded Aaron Rodgers. I think he might have held out at Green Bay if they tagged him, honestly, if Aaron Rodgers wasn't there. I think he would have fought as hard as he could to get out of there. And another is Jair Alexander. I think it's time to start to talk about extending him. I think he's proven to be your number one corner the past few years, which was surprising. I mean, you don't get many shutdown corners out of Louisville. So, and he's been doing really good for them. So I think he definitely deserves an extension. Some notable other free agents are Kevin King and Devandre Campbell. I think both of these guys are important to this team. Devandre Campbell, he made first team All Pro Bowl, right? Or he was first team.
It'll be interesting to see how they value.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Because he kind of came out of nowhere just to have he's been around for a while. So for him to come out of nowhere,
but he's always been good. He's always been like Shaq Barrett,
first team All Pro, good.
And then he made the jump finally.
And like I said about Shaq Barrett, it could go back down to regular really quickly.
Yeah, I'm more interested for what's it called? What was the name he said?
King?
Jair Alexander? Yeah, King.
Nah, we know they're going to pay.
Oh, no. What's his name? The DB that they picked up off the practice squad.
Rasul Douglas. You're talking about Mr. Rasul Douglas. Yeah, I don't think they're going to pay him at all. Yeah, they're not going to fall for that. But keep going, Eric. What's up?
Yeah, but their cap is something to behold. They're nearly $50 million over the cap, which is
probably why the Rodgers deal isn't done yet.
Yeah, which is just outrageous. So I really can't figure out a cap or what they can afford until A, after the Rodgers total number comes out, and B, they can't do anything until they figure something out. So they really can't. But some names I put down, maybe like a Jadeveon Clowney to help the edge. They do need some edge help. Von Miller, maybe he wants to try to get on the Rodgers bandwagon and lead another quarterback to a Super Bowl. Who knows? But that cap situation needs to be figured out. They also have the 28th pick in the draft. I mean, I think edge, linebacker, maybe an offensive lineman. But I mean, it's 28th pick.
Will they ever address can they ever address the receiver position?
They just tagged the best one in the league.
And we know damn well they need help outside of him, because in the playoffs, teams just double team Davonte Adams, and Aaron's sitting there choosing
not to throw the ball to anybody else. But I actually think the bold prediction for this is I I believe they're cutting both of the Smith brothers at the edge to save money.
Well, Preston was never worth the money anyway.
He had a good season.
Darius has back problems now, so yeah, that makes perfect sense. What about Kenny Clark? Did they do anything with Kenny Clark?
I think they keep him. They got to keep him. He actually resurged again last year. But continue, Eric.
I mean, that's all I had really for them. I just think
Green Bay doesn't really have now that Aaron Rodgers is back and Davonte Adams is tagged. Those were their offseason moves.
Yeah, Green Bay's has never been a team to get big time free agents to come there. So it's not you can't predict big name guys to go there to live in Wisconsin. I just can't.
Yeah, like Green Bay's done their offseason work. I think they've taken care of that. Like you said, maybe the Alexander extension comes to lower hit to get him locked up for the next couple years. Jordan Love trade. But yeah, Green Bay's offseason work is pretty simple at this point. Figure out what to do with Jordan Love, get the Davonte Adams extension done, and worry about the draft.
All right, so I guess we're moving on to Minnesota.
Yep. New head coach.
Got a new GM for the first time in 14 plus years.
Wow. And
a new head coach. I think Mike Zimmer was there for like 6-7 years.
He was there for a good minute.
He's been there for a while. But right now, Minnesota's at negative $15 million. They're one of these teams that have recently gone all in a lot. And,
there's been a theme here. If your quarterback's paid, you're in the red. That's really been the pretty common theme here with these teams.
With the exception of the New Orleans Saints and New York Giants, they just found their way there somehow. The biggest problem for Minnesota is that Kirk Cousins refuses to resign contracts in contract years, so they have to ride out that cap hit. He's not resigning because he has intentions to hit the market another time and get another fully guaranteed contract, I guess. So that's interesting. So I just didn't go with that. I've chosen to go with the rebuild method here with Minnesota. So at $15 million per, I think it's time to cut or move in a trade. Mr. Danielle Hunter, he's asked for it. He's been hurt ever since he's asked for it. Yeah. So not surprisingly. And I just think to save $14 million, which will all get you back to close enough to the green right there off alone, I just think it's time to get the most value out of him. You might not even be able to.
And he probably doesn't even fit the scheme.
Yeah, that's
going to be running next year too.
And then I would restructure Thielen, Kendricks, Cook, and Smith. I don't know if any of those guys will be good players in 2 years, but you kind of have to, if you want to dip and dabble in free agency. Now that could open up to $23 million if they need to, but actually I don't even think they will, because the only big free agent that I see them going after, and I can actually I think actually I'm gonna go with the interior offensive line.
Yeah.
And I went and hunt down Brandon Scherf. Mm-hmm. I think he'll fit perfectly in that Sean McVay West Coast Shanahan scheme. And I think they have it. They have tackle. Mm-hmm. I think they have Darisaw.
I like Darisaw and I can't remember what the other
O'Neal, who actually is like Pro Bowl, All Pro caliber at right tackle. So I think for the interior, Garrett Bradbury is a good. So another pairing. So you could use Scherf at tackle, center, or guard. He's very fluent in his position. So that's why I would hunt him down, because they need that interior presence to solidify the offensive line.
Just that level of player on the offensive line.
Just and if you put him next to O'Neal, that's a really good right side of your offensive line. And if Darisaw comes up, now you have 3 amazing offensive linemen. So you probably have to hand him out. I've got him here at 3 years, $75 million. I've got it. I think you'd have to really overpay to get him. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but I think
that is ridiculous.
I mean, that's not.
It's the tackle lineman. Laramie Tunsil's getting 23. If you sign the guy for it, but
that's a tackle though. That's a tackle though.
This is a guy that has
he has to go play
3 years, $75 million. You're outside your mind.
Also, you got to remember he's one of the crown jewels of free agency. So there's gonna be lots of teams buying for him. So if I'm the Vikings, that's probably the price I think they'd have to overpay to get a guy like that. It sounds ridiculous, but all these guys know that the cap's going to go back to ridiculously high levels next year, and they know there's more TV money and gambling money coming in. I prefer the money go to the players. I'll never be against players getting paid. I know it's expensive, but that's why he's the only big fish that I have them going after.
Yep.
If they could walk away with a player like that, that could save their team.
Yeah.
Make Kirk Cousins better, make their offense better, get more out of Thielen, Cook, and Jefferson.
Definitely raises the ceiling of that offense.
But I do have a small guy that I think would fit their scheme perfectly. I have them going out to get Lorenzo Carter on a 1-year prove-it deal. Mm-hmm. I've got him listed here, $7.5 mil to $10 mil. I think Lorenzo Carter had a great second half of the year. I think he fits that 3-4 outside linebacker scheme like a Leonard Floyd. That's who he projected to be coming out in the draft.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if they could walk away with a Brandon Scherf and maybe a breakout candidate in Lorenzo Carter, that's one for each side of the ball in the trenches. I think that'd be a good offseason. And then they pivot to the draft pick. This is another team that will probably be doing housekeeping and drafting as their main focus. But if they could walk away with a Sharif, and if you want to give that money to Armstead and kick another guy inside that you have already, that's cool too. But I just think that Sharif is the best offensive lineman on the market at age and value. So I gave him money, and then Lorenzo Carter on the other side of the ball. But I think that makes for a good offseason.
I do like if they can pull off the Brandon Scherf thing, maybe not for that ridiculous number, but a number just a little bit below that. That would be huge for them because the offensive linemen, they're definitely their weakness on the offensive end. We know with the way their roster has been built, they basically have a floor of like 7, 8, 9 wins.
Quarterback, receivers,
they peaked at like
running
11,
back.
12 wins. So like we know their roster, they have a decent enough roster, decent enough
Head coaching
quarterback.
bump.
Yeah, hopefully a head coaching bump. So their roster is fine. You said they can go with like 20 million. I do think they got to address the defense, specifically the secondary. That's a real big problem for them.
Yeah. I just think they'll probably go to the draft.
Yeah, it's like they'll probably go to the draft too. Where's Minnesota picking?
12.
12.
I did fail to mention that some of their free agents. There's a couple corners.
I know Pat Pete's up.
Mackenzie Alexander, Sheldon Richardson,
Xavier Rhodes.
Xavier. Oh no, he's on Indy. He's a free
Oh
agent.
yeah, that's right.
Xavier. Oh,
Woods.
you said Xavier Woods.
Xavier Woods.
Xavier Woods.
Rhodes. Yeah.
Xavier Woods. You're right. You're right. You had the right first name. Xavier Woods, the safety, and Tyler Conklin, the tight end. So they've got some guys, but I just don't. And you read this list now, they do have to re-sign their kicker, Greg Joseph, who had a decent year, and that's always good to have. But other than that, Chris Herndon, they don't have any major free agents to die for. So I just think like
if you're talking about cutting Danielle Hunter, they definitely got to address the edge spot. Definitely got to address the secondary, but it's an edge class. So the secondary. So in the secondary, I just think they got to put in some assets there.
So are you saying rebuild, Isaiah? Is that what you're doing? Is that what you
I'm
said?
saying it's not a full blown rebuild because maybe Cousins looks really good if you build the right team and system around him. He knows the system. He's running it.
Because I think the rebuild starts and ends with having that Kirk Cousins contract off the books. I think
they might not have an option taking it.
I know, but Kirk Cousins is like the line between go for it as a quarterback and then anything worse is a rebuild. So they're stuck in that. They're stuck in that tweener.
They have a good floor and not a very high ceiling.
But luckily for them, this is year one. They've got new GM, new head coach, so those guys could just try to maximize the best of what they have and find out who's there for the future.
How much longer is Cousins and Cook and Thielen? How long are those guys going to continue to be productive players?
That's why I went and got nice. They got their offensive line's young.
Yeah,
got a top 5 receiver that's on a rookie deal, and you got
not for long.
For at least another year at worst. But I mean, that's kind of where they are. They're rebuilding.
Yeah.
But as long as they've got the piece they have now, they might as well try to retool it as best as they can
until you can get off.
The Cousins contract. They don't have a lot of assets really to get these pieces. So edge and corner, I'll save that for the draft when we move. That's what I'll be attacking in the draft.
Defense, but definitely got to put in some effort to save the defense. All right, but I guess we can move forward to.
That's it for Minnesota.
Yeah, I don't have anything else to say about Minnesota, Eric. You?
No, move on to Chicago.
All right, the Bears. We can move on to the Bears. Third in the NFC North last year. Obviously, Justin Fields in 11, I think, last year. 10. They moved up. They moved up to get him.
I don't remember. It was my team in the trade.
It doesn't really matter. 10 or 11.
It was 11.
The Bears are $23.6 million in cap space. They got a few pretty significant names of free agency: Allen Robinson, Akeem Hicks. Those have been two mainstays for the Bears the last couple of years. Obviously, Andy Dalton was their starter for half the year. Jimmy Graham is finally a free agent. They can finally be released from the shackles of Jimmy Graham. And then a couple of offensive linemen in Jason Peters and James Daniels are up as well. With $23.6 million in college, with $23.6 million in cap space, that's really not a ton of room to move. I really don't think they should be dipping too hard into free agency. I don't really think the free agencies really fit their needs all the way across. They need receiver help. They need probably some edge help, some interior defensive line help, and offensive line help. So I think the big one, try to keep Allen Robinson. I know it's been frustrating these last couple of years trying to deal with that but I think having that type of receiver as your number one guy can make your rookie quarterback more comfortable. There isn't really going to be a receiver in the draft or something like that you're going to be wanting to take that's going to be better than Allen Robinson. So I think you work to try to keep him around, and you just go forward there with your quarterback. Outside free agents, if you're going to let Andy Dalton walk, I like Tyrod Taylor to come in to be kind of that mentor, backup quarterback for Justin Fields. Plus, you wouldn't really have to change the type of system that you're going to run. I looked at Michael Gallup as a cheaper option at receiver. They do need another a guy who can win one-on-one matchups. Darnell Mooney is a small speech type of guy. If Allen Robinson goes, I think Michael Gallup isn't a bad pickup for them. With Jimmy Graham being gone, I think you could replace that with CJ Uzomah, the Cincinnati tight end, trustworthy safety blanket, not too old, can block too. I think he would be a nice guy for Justin Fields.
Experience playing with a rookie quarterback who had high hopes for.
Yeah, a nice guy for Justin Fields to be able to settle for. I do like this fit. Eric Fisher, the left tackle from the Colts. They're not going to re-sign him. They already said they couldn't find a deal. So you bring him in to be kind of that bridge left tackle while you continue to try to get Tevin Jenkins ready to go and continue to address the offensive line in the draft. I think Eric Fisher would be a nice little stalwart there. I also like Connor Williams and Bradley Bozeman, a couple of interior offensive linemen who could also be good helps because they got to rebuild it. They got to rebuild it. Get some veterans in there. You prefer not to be rebuilding with a bunch of young offensive linemen. So they're bringing in some guys with some starting experience. Fisher, Connor Williams, and Bozeman have all got 50+ starts on their resume. You could really you can make your offensive line just better off rip from the floor. And then lastly, the secondary. Jalen Johnson's a good corner. They really don't have anything else at corner. They really don't have anything at safety either. It's really, really bad in that secondary. So I think this is where you could really spend some money because Isaiah agree spending on defense in the secondary is probably the best way to go instead of having to develop guys. Charvarius Ward from Kansas City. He's used to playing in that too high safety, that zone safety look, cornerback look. Justin Reed and Quandre Diggs as well. A couple other guys who are used to playing in too high kind of systems to help out that secondary because we saw even opening night Cooper Kupp through the end of the year, they really had a hard time covering the big plays in the secondary. So getting some veteran help back there, I think would be big for them.
Yeah, you have to bring up Cooper Kupp. He cooked up everybody.
Yeah, I mean, we saw it, but like opening night is when you really saw it. Like he was 15 yards beyond everybody. At least other guys were like,
opening night.
they handed us something. They handed us like they handed them the Bengals in the Super Bowl. They handed them the Bears on opening night. Like here's something on a silver platter for you. Well, yeah, what y'all think about Chicago?
They got to start spending on that O-line. Now I might spend more on the O-line and offense just because the quarterback's a rookie and then put off the defense for a year in the draft. Mm-hmm. But the draft is better on edge. They need an edge. But I think the biggest thing is what they do with Khalil Mack. He might have first-round value still. We saw he got hurt last year. It might be time to part ways with him. I don't know what his contract status is. I don't know if they should restructure him, re-sign him, or trade him.
That looks like a guy that you probably want to just ride out until he's done with because he's entered his 31 season, 32 season, I guess. But you aren't saving so much that you can just cut him and think you're going to
so if the value presents itself to get a first, like if Buffalo calls and say, here's a first, give us Khalil Mack.
You do it.
So I think that's the biggest question. And they losing Akeem Hicks, they're going to have to, of course, rebuild that whole defense. But they're in a full-fledged rebuild. They're probably they're the barest team in the whole division.
Detroit, but yeah.
I think Detroit's O-line is way better. I think Detroit's quarterback's better at this moment.
I still like,
and they got better receivers. It's gonna be interesting to see how that works out. But speaking of Detroit, if Eric doesn't have anything else to say about the Bears, he could go on to Detroit.
No, I think you guys covered Chicago pretty well. So moving on to the kneecappers, fighting, they're scratching, they're clawing. They're not losing much in free agency. Honestly, because there's not much to lose to begin with. But like Nick Williams, Jalen Reeves, Maven, they're both free agents. $20 million, just a little bit over $20 million in cap on the number 2 overall pick, which I believe they should either take Thibodeau or Kyle Hamilton. One of those two should be their pick.
It's weird, Eric, because I actually think the best pick for them is Ike Ekwonu.
Will he be there?
The NC State. The NC State tackle.
Lions. I was still on the Bears. Lions. Yeah, Lions should definitely go.
Kwanu or what's it called? Evan Neal.
Seems like they're meant to be for Aiden Hutchinson, though, right?
It's not. It seems like it, but
I
actually
don't
like
believe
the
in
idea.
Aiden Hutchinson. He's
I
gonna
love
go
him
high, but I don't
Michigan
think
guy, Michigan team. He fits the kneecap biter mold. Like it just makes too much sense to me.
I just think if they completed that offensive line, that would make them a top. They would be able to compete with the Packers if they had an offensive line that had added a Kwanu and a healthy Ragnow. That'd be the best offensive line in the league, probably.
Yeah, you definitely
absolutely.
Give really high.
So yeah, I have the Lions taking one of those Saints guys, Marcus Williams. I think some cornerback help is really needed for this team.
I can't name him in his corner.
Maybe he can help Jeff Okuda, who was the number 3 overall pick. Hopefully, once he recovers from his injury, like Marcus Williams will be able to help him out a little bit, take some pressure off, and help grow his game. What else? But yeah, I think and they also obviously need weapons. I mean, the wide receiver who broke out this year is really slipping my mind right now.
Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yes, perfect. So I think this is another spot that maybe you can get Allen Robinson. I know we've mentioned him with a lot of teams, but we really don't know his price range or what teams are in on him. He's had some weird years where his most productive year has been with Blake Bortles. Like Blake Bortles has been his best quarterback in his career.
And Blake Bortles hasn't started in years.
Poor Allen Robinson.
So obviously, if they take up Marcus Williams, I don't think they should draft Kyle Hamilton. I think that's when you go Kayvon Thibodeau or address another area in need, unless you want to go full-blown secondary, which I think is what the Jets are going to do. But everyone pray Kyle Hamilton not to the Jets, please, anywhere but.
That's the home of the best player in the draft. That's literally what the Jets do every year. They draft the best player in the draft.
Top player on the board. New York Jets take it. Not another safety.
Or it's always an interior defensive lineman or safety too.
Yeah, I think this team can really grow. I mean, I think if you're at the top of the second round, I consider, excuse me, a little bit like a first round graded. You still get like first round graded players. So they could still get some quality guy at that pick.
I think that's where they get their quarterback. I think that's where they take their quarterback at that first pick.
I think at worst they probably move back up in the first to go get that guy.
Yeah,
same gist, but your option.
Yeah, and if they can get the right package, I would absolutely trade down if I were them. If someone wants to jump to 2 and get someone, sure, I'll take something.
They need to be on the phone with the Giants, trying to call them like, no, the rest of these guys are taking your tackle. If you don't come get them now at 2.
Early returns say that everybody's calling to get trade back. So I don't think this is a year that I think teams are actually just going to be hamstrung and forced to take your player and move on. This is a 2013 type of draft probably, where it's either you know what you're evaluating or you don't.
Who you have taken the quarterback they're taking in the second round? Sam Howell.
I've seen Willis fall there. I've seen Howell fall there. I've seen all of them. And every mock draft I've seen Carroll. I've seen all options fall. One of them is one of those quarterbacks are gonna fall. So
I think all but one are. Yeah, I think there'll be one like middle of the first round, and then the rest I don't think we'll take them.
They'll have their option of one. It's just determined if it's the guy they like. So I actually like the idea of taking a tackle and a quarterback to finish your receiver. But I think the signing of Marcus Williams is actually amazing. The head coach and coaching staff that they brought over from New Orleans knows the player. That actually is a perfect fit, perfect match. He'll be playing in the same exact scheme. So I think that's actually, of all the signings that we've gone over to this point, I think that's actually the best scheme and match made in heaven that we've talked about.
But Williams want to go to Detroit.
We'll see. They know the players, so maybe for the right amount of bag, you'll see. Anything else to say about Detroit?
No, I mean, I think Detroit's another team where I think the draft is more important to them than getting stuff done in free agency. We know they're starting from the bottom. They have nowhere to go but up, so they really just have to continue to build on what they have, and they have to figure out what they're going to do. I think is this Goss last year on that deal?
He might have another year.
And so they got to
The
be
1 year that's not the last year that's not guaranteed.
that non-existent.
Because Carson Wentz has another year on his deal.
Okay.
So yeah.
So they both have one last non-existent 5th year basically on their on those long contracts that they signed. Once they got to find the most important thing for them is finding out who's taking over for Jared Goff.
But yeah, other than that, I like the Marcus Williams signing a lot.
Yeah.
I'd actually like to see that one. So I think that's it for the NFC North. The division that Aaron Rodgers and the Packers will probably continue to
He
own.
still owns them.
But I think if Detroit has another successful offseason like they did last year,
2 years from now,
next
they
year,
could be competing.
this is the NFL where jumps happen. They could watch out. They could be
Not with Jared Goff.
they could be next year Cincinnati Bengals. Not guaranteeing that. I'm just saying, don't be like if you're looking for
put it on the TikTok, Eric. Put it on the TikTok.
If you're looking for teams that could go worse to first, I'd put my money on Detroit.
Okay.
So for now, we'll see what they actually do. But I think that's it. We'll catch you, Eric, and we'll see y'all next time. Like, share, subscribe.
Yes, sir.